Let's talk about Matthew 18:20. It says, "For where two or three have gathered together in my name, there I am in their midst." Frequently, I hear people using this verse to say that when you get two or more people together to serve God, that constitutes having a church. Well, I realize that an action involving the church is in the context, but that is not the point. In fact, the two or three in this verse is not about having a recipe for starting a church. As we may so often do, we look for a silver bullet Bible verse to prove a point. This verse does not do that. Examining the context, we find that someone has sinned against their brother. Matthew 18 and verse 15 says, "And if your brother sins, go and reprove him in private. If he listens to you, you have won your brother." There's where we begin, and it is the ideal outcome. But the brother may not listen. What then? Verse 16 says, "But if he does not listen to you, take one or two more with you, so that by the mouth of two or three witnesses every fact may be confirmed." He may not want to return. And we end up with verse 17, "And if he refuses to listen to them, tell it to the church. And if he refuses to listen even to the church, let him be to you as a Gentile and a tax gatherer." There are two things this text does not do. I've already mentioned one. The two or three of verse 20 are the witnesses in verse 16. Verse 20 simply expresses the agreement of Jesus with the action taken. It's not about getting two or three people together in a deer stand or on the golf course or motel room and having a church service. This text also does not give you permission to turn people against someone because you were offended over something. I've heard this treated as if everyone is obligated to believe a charge of a private incident of misconduct against a brother. That isn't what's going on in Matthew 18. It's obvious that the sin was already known to the witnesses and the church. If not, then the first to cry foul gets to conduct his own witch trial. The witnesses in verse 16 are to the refusal of the sinner to repent, and the church is only acting because the sin is generally known and the refusal to repent has been established or documented by the witnesses. That's a lot different than reading verse 20 by itself and taking your own Lord's Supper off into the woods to have a church service in your deer stand.